I think, the most meaningful parts of this meeting. It's a time where we collectively as a community are able to recognize work that's being done, um, to hold corporations accountable, to stand up for communities, to um, to to do the kind of core business and human rights work, that all of us find so meaningful and that's so important to stand up for. Um, the Gwen Skinner Human Rights Award honors, um, a very important member of the ICAR community, Professor Gwen Skinner. I'm going to hand it over in just a minute, um, to Beth, Gwen's wife. But before I do that, I just want to talk a little bit about the award and how we choose it. Um, the Gwen Skinner Human Rights Award is, we solicit nominations, we get a number of nominations, and then the choice really goes to a committee. The committee is made up of Katie Gallagher, who's over here to my left, myself, Elena Arango from Poder, who many of you saw on a panel earlier today, Joseph Wild from Sono, Stephanie Amoko, who's here from Accountability Council, Aruna Kashyap from Human Rights Watch, and then Beth, as I mentioned, Gwen Skinner's wife, and Gwen Skinner's sister, Jill. And we get together after we've solicited all the nominations, after we've gone through a vetting process, and we talk about all of the incredible work that's been done by all of the people that have been nominated or all the organizations that have been nominated. And we go through a very, very often difficult process of having to make a selection to honor just one organization's work out of the many incredible nominations that we get. But we're ultimately able every year to discuss sometimes multiple times and come to a consensus. And it is a, I think, incredible reflection of the amount of work that's happening around the world and the amount of recognition that we wish we could give to all of that incredible work. But we are incredible, even though we wish we could honor everybody that's been nominated, we can't. We choose one, and we're gonna play a video from Gwen's Gwen's wife, Beth, talking about this award, and then we're going to have Katie speak, have Jose Manuel Lopez Garcia speak, and present the Gwen Skinner Human Rights Award. So with that, I'd like to, maybe we can start this video with Beth.
Thank you, David. I hope you're all having a productive meeting. I'm Beth Skripczak. I was Gwynne's partner and wife for 22 years. She passed away in 2017 after a courageous 5-year battle with ovarian cancer. We have 2 daughters. Lucy is 24 and lives in Los Angeles and works in the animation field. And Ella is 21 and is about to start aviation mechanic training with the U.S. Navy in Pensacola, Florida. I again want to thank ICAR for honoring Gwynne's legacy with this award. I thank Amal, Katie, and Anita for establishing this for her, and David for continuing it. I believe that its record of honoring changemakers will continue to have an impact in the field of corporate accountability. This is the 7th year, and the impressive list of nominees and winners grows each year. I'm very pleased that Jose Manuel Lopez Garcia from Comités de Cuenca, Rio Sonora, CCRS, can be there with you to receive this 2026 award. This year's other nominees include Anand Magnali, Instituto de Defensa Legal, IDL Peru, Justice for Iran, JFI, Greenpeace USA, Maurice Uma Odhiambo, Mr. Abraham Kamaria, Tunisian Association of Development Law, ATDD, Uganda Consortium of Corporate Accountability, UCCA, Witness Radio Uganda, Yaku Perez, and Yi Lin Mint Koyi. As we gather as a committee each year, we look for a person or organization that has made a significant contribution in the field of corporate accountability over the last year. This year, CCRS was a standout, but I will admit we had difficulty narrowing it down to them. All candidates were strong. I'd like to tell you a bit about Gwynne. She was born in Iowa. She was the fourth of 5 children. She inspired 2 of her sisters and 1 of her nieces to become lawyers. She attended University of Iowa Law School and later got an LLM in International Human Rights Law at Oxford University. She was a law professor at Seattle University and at Willamette University and taught a new generation of lawyers in her international human rights clinics. In 2011, she became an advisor and mentor to ICAR. In her last year, she authored a book, Transnational Corporations and Human Rights. Gwynne had a varied legal career, starting as a federal prosecutor, then a King County prosecutor in Seattle, then moving into work with corporate labor and employment law firms. She always had a passion for human rights law. She left her corporate job in the mid-1990s and started her own public interest law group. One of her biggest cases was representing Rachel Corrie's family in 2005 in a case filed against the Caterpillar Corporation for aiding and abetting war crimes in the Gaza Strip. Gwynne had an uncanny ability to use innovative legal strategies to help her clients. She was always thinking outside the box. With her expertise in litigation and labor and employment law, Gwynne was particularly skilled in advocating for individuals whose health, finances, or dignity were threatened by major corporations and governments. This year's winner, CCRS, reminds me of work that Gwynne would have done. Gwynne would admire their persistence and how CCRS sought remedies for their clients. She not only exposed the wrongdoing, but sought resolutions for her clients. CCRS has done the same over the past 11 years for its victims. Gwynne loved the law. She believed in the ability of the law to right wrongs and hold governments and corporations accountable. Human rights were her passion and her life work. I'm thankful that we take a moment each year to remember her. I'm proud that this award continues to have a place in honoring those who achieve corporate responsibility. Congratulations to CCRS. Thank you very much for remembering Gwynne. Bye-bye.
I'm now going to turn it over to Beth, or not to Beth, to Katie. Before I do, I just want to note that Katie, you heard Beth mention that Katie was one of the original people who were part of founding this award, and she has sometimes, with great enthusiasm, stayed a member of this selection committee. And this will be her last year on the selection committee. And I would just want to take a moment to thank you for starting this, for continuing on the selection committee, to helping us choose these award winners from incredible nominees. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing that you've done. So thank you so much, and I'm so excited to hand it over to you.
No. Thank you, David. And truly, it has been a real, not only honor, but a highlight to be on this committee. And I'm seeing other committee members here. I'm seeing past committee members and past awardees and nominees in the room. And so much like this ICAR conference each year, this award is an opportunity to get to see up close the really, really good work that's being done globally, work that's being done locally, to push back against forces who think that Indigenous communities, women's groups, workers, vulnerable people in politically precarious situations are somehow exploitable. And working at the grassroots level, working in community, in partnership, pushing back, it's really been such a privilege to see just the breadth of work that's being done. And certainly this year is no different than the past in just the incredible work that's being done. So it's not an easy task to come up with a winner, but the committee did this year, as we have in the past. And I'm really honored to present today the Comité de Cuenca Rio Sonora with this Gwynne Skinner Award. What we look for in selection, and I do encourage next year people to respond to the call for nominees and nominate others in this room and beyond who you see doing really good work to uplift their profile when, and sometimes it's very necessary to give that uplift. But we look for groups that have done and made a specific and recent contribution in the space of corporate accountability, who've advanced efforts to prevent harm and to redress it, who have worked with impacted communities and those on the front lines in the struggle. And really, CCRS embodies this in every way. They've worked for over a decade, demanding justice and remediation for harms from Mexico's worst mining-related environmental disaster. It's been the community, and especially women in the community, who've led this effort. They've worked to build partnership within Mexico. They have buy-in from the largest groups and small community groups who've backed them up and worked alongside them, doing advocacy at the local governmental level, the federal governmental level within Mexico, and taking this case also to the United Nations, to Geneva, where you've spoken, to the UN Special Procedures. They've really left no stone unturned, and at every step along the way, it's been community-led and community-endorsed. So it is for those reasons that despite having so many really potentially worthy nominees, we came up with the award for CCRS. In the last 2 years, it's had some groundbreaking results from its decade-long work. We heard Jose Manuel speak about that in the panel this morning, the creation of hospitals, the cleaning of the water supply. There's still more work to be done, but the work of CCRS has put structures in place to actually have a remedy, something that can be measured to ensure that it's continuing to provide redress to the community. The nominees said to us in their nomination letter that by giving the award to CCRS, it was, quote, an opportunity to highlight the importance of centering the voices, the knowledge, the expertise of affected communities as frontline defenders in the struggle for corporate accountability and human rights. They've been collective and collaborative in their partnerships, and they've really made a difference. So it is my honor to present to CCRS the 2026 Gwynne Skinner Award. And Jose Manuel, I give you the award and the microphone.
Pues muchas gracias por este premio. En verdad que han sido un reto llegar hasta donde estamos. 12 años de trabajo, de lucha. No son fáciles y muy agradecidos con todos ustedes. Gracias por este premio. Hace 12 años las condiciones de injusticia nos obligaron a pelear contra las sombras del progreso. Somos pueblos que nunca vimos la riqueza prometida por las grandes corporaciones mineras. Todo lo contrario, nos inundaron de pobreza, nos arrebataron la salud y se llevaron el agua, negando con cruel efectividad el derecho a decidir nuestro futuro.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for this award. It's really been a challenge, these 12 years of work and struggle. It's not been easy, so thank you so much. 12 years ago, the conditions of injustice forced us to fight the shadows of progress. We, the peoples who never saw the wealth that was promised by the large mining corporations. We are peoples who never saw the wealth of the large mining corporations. Quite to the contrary, they flooded us with poverty, they took away our health care, and they took the water, denying with cruel effectiveness the right to decide our own future.
Nadie nos advirtió que una empresa podía gozar de tanta impunidad y que esa misma empresa, Grupo México, podía modificar el marco legal y las opiniones de la clase política para explotar cada vez más tierra y perforar cada vez más pozos.
No one warned us that a company could enjoy so much impunity, that same company, Grupo México, could change the legal framework and the opinions of the political class so as to exploit more and more land and drill more and more wells.
Nadie nos advirtió que una gran parte del sistema de justicia mexicano, que dice estar a favor del pueblo, pone más atención a los intereses corporativos y a la necesidad de conservar la reputación de los gobiernos, que a quienes protegemos y cuidamos la vida común.
No one warned us that a large part of the Mexican justice system, which says it's in favor of the people, pays more attention to corporate interests and to the need to preserve the reputation of the governments, and that much more attention to them than to those of us who protect and care for our common life.
El derrame de metales pesados que Grupo México provocó el 6 de agosto del 2014 nos obligó a negociar nuestro futuro. Lo negociamos porque no hay manera de construirlo como lo queríamos. Y aún así, hemos encontrado el coraje necesario para mantenernos de pie y desafiar aquello que permitió este desastre ambiental.
The spill of heavy metals provoked by Grupo México on August 6, 2014, forced us to negotiate our future. And we have negotiated it because there's no way to build it as we would have wanted. And even so, we have found the courage necessary to stay standing tall and to challenge that which made possible this environmental disaster.
El coraje que nos mueve se construyó en el colectivo. Esta lucha se ha sostenido por los aportes del conocimiento, recursos y atención nacional e internacional que durante 12 años hemos construido con activistas, organizaciones, donatarios y comunidades que creen en la justicia y la rendición de cuentas. Gracias a la paciencia que solo tienen quienes comprenden los desafíos de solidaridad, los comités de Cuenca Río Sonora hemos permanecido en el camino para encontrar la verdad y la rendición de cuentas corporativa.
The courage that moves us has been built collectively. This struggle has been sustained by contributions of knowledge, resources, as well as national and international attention, which we have built over 12 years with activists, organizations, donors, and communities who believe in justice and accountability. Thanks to the patience that only those who understand the challenges of solidarity have, the Sonora River Basin communities have remained along the path to find the truth and to find corporate accountability.
Así que gracias a la prensa libre por llevar nuestro mensaje y no permitir que nuestro problema se pierda en la historia. Gracias a los activistas de México y el mundo que arriesgan la vida por acompañarnos a pesar del clima de violencia y desapariciones que cada día vivimos quienes defendemos la tierra. Gracias a las personas que sostienen nuestra lucha creyendo que nuestro enojo está justificado. Y gracias por este reconocimiento a través del premio Green Skinner. Es un honor estar en admirable grupo, personas y organizaciones ganadoras.
And so I'd like to thank the Free Press for transmitting our message and not allowing our problem to simply be lost in history. Thanks to the activists in Mexico and worldwide who risked their lives to accompany us despite the climate of violence and disappearances which those of us who defend the land experience every day. Thanks to those who have sustained our struggle, believing that our anger is justified, and thanks for this recognition through the Gwynne Skinner Award. It is an honor to be among the admirable group of individuals and organizations who have won the award.
Nuestros logros marcados por estrategias legales, comunitarias, de mesas de negociación, investigación, denuncias públicas, se deben abrazar y reconocer porque nos han costado lágrimas, ocasos, intimidaciones, exclusiones de espacios, políticos y muertes de compañeras y compañeros debido a enfermedades que provocan los metales que invaden nuestro río y que nunca fueron atendidas.
Our accomplishments, marked by legal strategies, community strategies, negotiating sessions, research, and public denunciations, should be embraced and recognized because they have cost us tears, harassment, intimidation, exclusion from political spaces, and the deaths of colleagues due to diseases that are caused by the metals that invade our river and that were never addressed.
Estos logros no son una justificación para dejar de luchar. Aún no tenemos plantas de tratamiento de agua, ni de atención urgente para quienes contamos con diagnósticos de intoxicación, ni gozamos de una participación que nos permita tomar decisiones fundamentales para nuestro futuro.
These accomplishments, these gains are no justification for stopping the struggle. We have yet to have water treatment plants, nor do we have urgent care for those of us who have a diagnosis of intoxication, nor do we enjoy participation that would allow us to make fundamental decisions to decide our own future.
Este fin de semana, la presidenta de México colocará la primera piedra de un hospital que promete hacer diagnósticos y atender la contaminación. La primera piedra, que será montada en medio de un espectáculo mediático, se encuentra en un terreno adyacente a un panteón, una gasera, una gasolinera y un yunque de metales viejos. El simbolismo nos duele hasta los huesos y de igual manera duele ver el desinterés del gobierno por cambiar el sistema de manera profunda.
This weekend, the President of Mexico will lay the cornerstone of a hospital that promises to carry out diagnoses and to address the contamination. The cornerstone, which will be placed amidst a media spectacle, is in a piece of land that is adjacent to a cemetery, a gasoline station, a metal junkyard. The symbolism really hurts us to the bones. And similarly, it hurts to see the government's lack of interest in changing the system in a profound manner.
Pero creemos que nuestro caso marca un precedente legal y comunitaria y que envía un mensaje para las demás luchas de México y América Latina. Callar no es opción, luchar es la vía y perder no está en el catálogo de opciones.
But we believe that our case sets a legal precedent and a community precedent, and that it sends a message to other struggles in Mexico and throughout Latin America. Hushing up is not an option. Struggling is the way to go, and losing is not in the catalog of options either.
En este medio de este agradecimiento, denuncio, Grupo México sigue gozando de impunidad y sigue presumiendo una responsabilidad social que no existe. Esta empresa desinteresada por la vida de nuestra comunidad se ha dedicado a abrazar el conflicto y a formar parte de él, y a buscar la captura de cada bloque de gobierno y del periodismo que lo ha denunciado públicamente.
Amidst these words of gratitude, I would like to denounce that Grupo México continues to enjoy impunity. It continues to say that it is exercising social responsibility when it is not. This company, which is not interested in the life of our communities, has dedicated itself to embracing conflict, to being part of the conflict, and it has sought always to capture any sector of the government or of the journalism world that has denounced it publicly.
Agradezco nuevamente a quienes abren los ojos y a quienes luchan, y a todos ustedes por abrir su corazón y escuchar ante las injusticias. Muchas gracias, Comité de Cuenca y Poder.
Thank you once again to all of those who open their eyes and to those who struggle, to all of you for opening your hearts and to listening in the face of all this injustice. So thank you on behalf of the Sonora River Basin Committee.
Thank you, Jose Manuel, for that. That was, I think it's so important to recognize this work. I think it's, we're so, I think we're just honored to have you here and to be able to describe the fight that you've been in and honored to have an opportunity to recognize all that you've accomplished and also stand in solidarity with you for all that you have left to fight for. I also just want to recognize, Jose Manuel, recognize Bodair, who's in the room, have been an enormous part of this effort. I think it really speaks to the fact that these fights are only won when a large when a large coalition of groups stand in solidarity with one another, support each other, pick up the fight when others can't, and keep the fight going for as long as it takes to achieve accountability, because these are not short-term efforts. These are long-term, community-based engagements that take a lot of time, a lot of investment, a lot of effort, and a lot of commitment. And that doesn't just happen because several people decide to make it their mission. It happens because everybody who can gets involved and raises those voices up. So thank you, Jose Manuel, for relating that to us today. I want to take a moment as we close to thank again the Gwynne Skinner Award Selection Committee. It's a group of people that I think are just really dedicated to assessing the nominations that we get in a clear and fair way, and it's such a pleasure to have that group of people stand behind this award, continue to be engaged each year, and I think the award outcome is a reflection of that committee's continued engagement. And I just want to thank Katie again for your many years of service.
And David, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the entire ICAR team, and especially Melissa Tuck, for the work that they've done to ensure that this award continues. So thank you for sponsoring it, and thank you for creating this space.
All right, that's all, everybody, for this portion of the event. I think we're going to take a couple photos, and then we'll meet back in here for our final plenary session of the afternoon. We have a plenary session, we have a couple of breakouts, and then that will conclude the 2026 ICAR annual meeting this afternoon. Thank you.